Also a member of the House Freedom Caucus. Congressman, before we jump into what's happening here, big day in Washington, D.C. It's kind of like the first day of going back to school. You've got all the government workers. They were ordered to report today, and I am just curious, how was traffic, and was there a long line at the Chick-fil-A, Congressman?
So far, so good for me, but I got here pretty early for my flight. I'm sure it's quite consternation to those who've been able to sit at home and what I call tele-not work, but good to see the Trump administration come in and, again, get this government working for the American people. And those who don't want to be working for the American people, this is a public service, and you can find employment somewhere else doing something else. We're going to find a good ROI for the American taxpayer.
Well said, Congressman. Let's take a look at some of this polling that came out over the weekend. YouGov and CBS News, 59% approve of President Trump's program to deport the illegals, nearly 60%, 41% disapprove. And what I find fascinating about the overall CBS numbers there, Congressman, is that Trump is at his highest approval ratings ever. What do you make of it?
Yeah, well, there's another poll that says 70% of Americans see a president who's doing what he promised. And I think that's why his approval ratings are going through the roof, because, people even who maybe not agreed with him 100% on policy are saying, here's somebody who's doing what he said he would do. It's going to be an overall win for the American people. And of course, we are excited to see that happening. There's a right way to come to this country, and then there's an illegal way to come to this country. And this is about making sure that we restore safe communities, that we restore our border, keep prioritizing the American people over people coming here illegally, many of them doing harmful and horrific actions throughout our communities and destroying families and the like. It's good to see President in the White House willing to take a stand.
I love what the DOGE committee is doing, Congressman, but that's been going on for a long time up on Capitol Hill with another group called the House Freedom Caucus. You guys have been calling attention to all of this outrageous spending. What is it like to finally see this spending being taken care of and tackled?
Well, it's certainly refreshing to see the tools that, that Elon and the DOGE team have been able to bring to the table. As you said, we've been calling out this wasteful spending for quite some time, but the transparency that they're able to bring in mapping out this to where you're able to see that a huge portion of our finances as a federal government is basically a money laundering scheme going to crazy leftist ideologies, stuff in foreign countries that the American people are going, I'm trying to make the ends meet. I have the Biden administration and previous administrations telling us that, this is important and our tax dollars are important to keep this government going. And then you find out it's going to frivolous, wasteful, and even harmful and evil things at times. And so it's refreshing to have those tools at the table. We need to make sure that Congress steps up to the plate and backs up what the Trump administration is finding, and that we defund these bad activities and get this government running again. It's important. One of the biggest issues we're facing right now is our fiscal challenges. It's a fiscal crisis as much as our open borders and many other things we're facing. We've got to get our government on the right path, getting rid of this waste, fraud, abuse, corruption. That's a great start.
Congressman, real quick, we heard over the weekend that somebody's been leaking. There was apparently a big ICE raid plan for the Los Angeles area. Somebody leaked that information. What needs to happen to these people that are leaking this kind of information?
Well, obviously, they need to be fired. And this shows you the challenge that we've been up against, those of us trying to bring oversight to our federal government. We basically right now, the bureaucracy is an unconstitutional fourth branch of government. They think they know better than the elected officials, and they will do whatever they can to make it happen. If they don't like the order, they do things to undermine it. In this case, leaking important information, which, by the way, puts the lives of these first responders, our Border Patrol, our law enforcement at risk. We saw just today come out that even though President Trump had ordered a stop on contracts, that they're still, through FEMA, sent $59 million to these hotels illegally. Why? Because some bureaucrat wanted something done, even though the elected representative didn't. So this is what we've been up against. Thankfully, we have, again, a president in the White House who's bringing a backbone to these fight, so to speak, to rein in this spending, to get our government working for the American people. Clearly, people within our government who are undermining the United States need to be fired.
Well said. All right, Congressman, we got to leave it there. Tele-not marketing. I love that, sir. Thank you. Tele-not work. Well done.
Well, thank you.
All
God
right.
bless you.